Mr. Summit, is what prompted a change in how HPO approach permits work or controller work, and what triggered the need for a change?
Yeah, okay. Good evening. And thank you, Pankaj, for getting an insight view of how the controller work is progressing. And then answering your question about how do we approach and get into Maximl. See, as far as HPL is concerned, we were in the digitization drive starting from 2019, and we had implemented a globally best industrial, permit to work solution. But as we approached in 2024, when the contract needs to be renewed, we had certain dependency on the data. The data has to be residing within the Indian data centers. So that was one, major bottleneck which we were experiencing with that vendor, with the solution. Then second was, we had an audit internally, and then there was urgent need to comply with the OSD. And this is that oil industry software. This is a practice within the oil and gas sector within India. So this OSD, I would say there were certain processes which need to be changed, or customized, I would say, to just cater to those regulations. That also was a bit of a difficult take from there, because they were having a global template, and they were not willing to customize to the local needs. And there were also, we are facing this issue. And then the seamless integration with SAP, because we work on SAP S/4HANA, was also one of the issue which we felt with earlier. So when we evaluated, Maximl, the time we were also having a turnaround coming through, and they also had a STO model, turnaround for permits and all those things. So we told them, why don't you do a small pilot, because in the previous, the software also, we had issues with managing the turnaround permits. So they said, yes, we are willing to do it. And surprisingly, it went very, not only smooth, but I think the users liked the software based on the UI UX and simplicity of the design and fast implementation. So then we formed a core team with our users, users from maintenance, operations, from safety. They visited some of their other sites where they have already implemented. We interacted with those, the other companies where things are already operational. And then based on the feedback, because they were all very happy, in terms of how the implementation is done, simplified. And one of the USP was the mobile interface, which was lacking in the previous software. So with all these USPs coming through, we thought, we will go with Maximl, but we also had a, because we had to see an other competitor similar products. So we evaluated, we did a technical evaluation, we did a commercial evaluation, and then based on those, Maximl came out what we, in literal terms, we call L1. They have to be L1 both technically and commercially. And we're happy. And as long as the journey is till today, it's the users who basically decides the successful implementation. They are also happy. So, and it's getting value. In fact, some of the benefit analysis internally people have done. So that's a good indicator that we have done the right choice.
Okay, great. Thank you much for sharing that experience. And yeah, I guess to sum it up, the main reasons were around kind of flexibility of configuring what you needed, as well as having something that's a little bit more customized to regulations, local regulations specifically. So thank you much for that. One topic that kind of picked up from what you said was around kind of turnarounds and user adoption. So can you tell us a little bit more about your expectations around user adoption? And I'm also guessing that with something as big as a turnaround coming up, there wasn't a lot of time for kind of training, getting people to use the platform. So how did you kind of handle that challenge?
Yeah, so initially we thought, should we take this risk? But I think the Maximl, their subject matter expert convinced. We had some round of workshop in the plant also. So they convinced users, yes, it should not be an issue in terms of the way you handle. And users were anyway handling, electronic permit solution. So they were very, I'd say, well versed how an electronic permit works as a process. And the UI UX in the case of Maximl was quite not only similar, but they also felt it was very simple, and it was eye-catching in terms of the different attributes which were there in the software. So they felt they should be able to take this bite in spite of their hectic schedule which they have to get this around in time. So it was a bit of a risk, but I think it has paid off. And I would say there was an overwhelming support from the Maximl people on ground. And I think that only, I think, helped a lot in terms of on-the-job training. We had one or two workshops, but then on-the-job training helped us to see that we are up and running and implement the permit, this Maximl permit during the turnaround time. And really it helped us in terms of ensuring the safety. We didn't had any sort of an incident in a whole turnaround process. So that was a great, I would say, success story in terms of getting those TA done seamlessly.
Okay, great. And sorry, go on, Pankaj.
Sorry, Sayan. And I think Sayan would just like to add the entire support and confidence that we had from the HPL management was really, because we could also, attempt that. And I think Sumit said right from the plant head, and turnaround would have come again a few years later, right? And one of the biggest asks was, if we can really do this in turnaround, it would really help them, right? So again, that support meant a lot for us and the team that we really pushed through, because otherwise it would not have been just possible in such a short span to kind of attempt that. So that was really one of the key things that stood out for my team, which helped us take that plunge and actually jump right into it.
Yeah, nice. And great to kind of see the partnership, really between the software firm and the firm actually using the solution. So thank you much for that, both of you. And moving forward, you did mention some of the kind of key things that you're able to do with the solution, but could you kind of summarize some of the, what was achieved through using Maximl's control work? Is there any numbers that you can share as well, perhaps?
You want to say number of permits and all?
It could be that, but also like, what were the, if you had to kind of think of a few key achievements out of using a solution, what would you say these were?
Yeah, see, the primary aim for any of this permit to work or control of work solution is to ensure that the safety and the reliability increases, so that is a key part of it. And with that, the operational efficiency should improve, and there is there's an enforcement of a bit of a compliance and the governance, in terms of how they conduct the particular jobs. And most important part is that this system should also ensure that there is a seamless collaboration between the operation and the maintenance team on the ground. And that's very important. And that's where we found, the mobility part of it and the user-friendly UX helped people to, I would say, utilize the system in a much better and an efficient way. So when I say we didn't had any sort of an incident, that also indirectly reinforces that the solution is working fine, and people are going and ensuring the process. Like, for example, in terms of the RA, the risk assessment, and the JHA, including what they have done for this hazard and the controls, the controls mechanism were really, exhaustive and well built. So there was no mess in terms of how this particular permits were, executed on ground. So in a way, if you see that particular moment of the TA, we could increase our overall safety and the reliability per se, in a much better way. I don't have the exact numbers, but yes, there was a quite some sort of an, I would say, quantitative improvement and the savings also. And the savings were that since it got interconnected with the safety protocols and the operational needs, so the maintenance was done in a very predefined way, integrating back with SAP, the work orders and the notifications, so that the whole interface worked seamlessly. So I would say that was a thing. And then we initially, it was an offline sync, but later we did a hard sync with SAP. So the master was SAP. So that also helped us so that there are no anomalies while the work is getting executed.
Okay, great, thank you. And I think it's, it is really about removing that complexity to one, make sure things are being done efficiently, but also as you are removing complexity, making it easier and easier for frontline workers to use the systems, it also makes it kind of enables them to get the insights that they need and to make sure that they're doing work safely and they're not kind of looking at too many different variables, but they're really focusing on what's important to conduct their jobs, and that's really what they need. They don't want to spend too much time doing kind of these some of these back office sort of kind of form filling, etc. It's really about improving their understanding and awareness on the job. And yeah, last question that I have for you, Mr. Summit, it's kind of looking back, which decisions contribute most to the implementation or rollout success? And is there any advice that you could give to kind of anyone looking to implement a control work solution, anyone that's kind of embarking on this journey from your experience?
Yeah, I think the most important part is that you should always pick a COT solution, commercially off the shelf available solution, instead of trying to build from the scratch, and try to see that all your processes are, customized and built to it. That has its own pros and cons, but that has got more cons because you will not have the best global work process or a template built in. You may feel that you are having a best-in-class process, but maybe you're missing some finer points. Because this application, especially Maximl and others, they come with a set standards. They follow OSHA. OSHA is there inbuilt as a process. Then you have this OSDN also, where the localization is there. So that gives you an edge, and then you can, of course, see what is the best in your process, and that can be customized. So that is one, I would say you should look into it. And then you have to also see a solution from the perspective of how is their roadmap, whether the new technologies are getting, for example, I was impressed they're going to have this barrier management, interactive PNIDs, then even those conflict management, where two hot permits in the same place, they will raise an alarm out there. So these are some of those innovative features which you should look for. So that only shows, and now, of course, that time also they were giving us a roadmap. Yes, they're working on AI and building those, Gen AI and agentic agents and all. But I think now, as Pankaj was studying, they are into that particular journey also. So you have to see that particular solution also has a futuristic roadmap, in terms of innovative technology they're going to adopt. So these are some of the things which, as a CIO or even a safety head, because or an operational head, they're also part of the decision making to see that the best in class solution is picked up.